vaping with the Ohmies. 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 Welcome everybody, welcome to the show. Let me introduce you to some dudes in case you don't know. First we got Aziz all the way from Kuwait. Always got a point when it's time for debate. Oh my Lanta, some call him Dan. Got the dad jokes in the palm of his hand. Boom Sauce McNasty got his eyes on the news. Got his ear to the streets and he's down for the crew. Next up is Clown, the DIY king. Got a juice line and some coils that sing. Then there's a bear who's smarter than average. Quick with a wit, his name Vapor Swaggins. Then there's the homie, we know him as Frames. And too many guests to remember the names. Together they make up this killer vape panel. So hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Vaping with the Ohmies. 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 Vaping with the Ohmies.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vaping with the Ohmies. What's in the news, Coon Sauce? Alright, guys. It's that time for Dan's Dad Joke of the Week. Boom. What is going on, Ohmies? Welcome back for episode 24, I believe. And of course, as you can see, we've got some lovely guests joining us tonight. It's like a mashup tonight. It's like a never heard of them Ohmies mashup, hence the title. Never heard of the Ohmies? Yeah, I thought it was funny, so I rocked with it.
Good move.
So, of course, we're going to do what we always do, guys. We're going to talk about what we're vaping on and all that good stuff. So I'm going to throw it off to one of our guests. I'm going to throw it over to Dribbles, bro. What are you vaping on,
me
man?
First?
Yeah, dude.
What is going on, everybody? Happy not Wednesday. That's normally my catch line is Happy Wednesday. But I guess it's Happy Monday. What do I got? I have a lot of black setups. I got the Bro Science Vapes Lipo DNA 250 with the Tank V4. Just picked up that behemoth. The BMM nicely with the Reload mouth to lung.
Ooh.
The hashtag
Cold Steel.
with the intake dual from Mr. Mikey Vapes on top.
Nice.
The Black and Juma billet box with a Zeta in there. And then, of course, the Kennedy Vindicator. This is the 25 millimeter version, not the 28. And has the Ohana with a heavy tip. I figured I'd get some brownie points since Heavy's actually joining me on a not Wednesday. Juices, I have some Paradigm, some Wicked Berry,
Very nice.
some Shy Tots. This is the Cat's Whiskers. That's my buddy Scott. You all know him as Black Cat White Face.
Love Scott.
His juice. He's an awesome dude. Normally not a fan of salts, but I just grabbed it. It was at the store, so some Naked Blaine Fleas. And I got some more Shy Tots. This is the new line Pod Squad. They're mouth to lung. It's a 60-40. I have that in the billet box. That's Mango Passion.
Ooh.
Mango usually is it's a questionable flavor. It can taste like feet and like
That's true.
very quickly. And passion fruit's also another one that can suck, but this one, both sides are delicious. And last but not least, I have some apple cola from Naked. So I'm going to pass it on over to Heavy. So I guess he'll have to unmute himself.
Sorry. I've got a business call for my job, so I'll be right back. Take it away, Swaggins.
Yes. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir. Good choice. What's going
Way to
on,
come on a
everybody?
show.
Ohmies and NHOTs, or heavy hitters, rather. I see a chest hair millionaire in the house. Hand raised to your request, my dude. Only you. I feel like if I did that, I would get superpowers or some shit.
Something,
so
dude.
I'm cool with that. So let's just jump right into it. Why not be vaping on an Ohana? I would be anyways, but it's even more relevant now because we have the guys that made this thing on here today, and I got it on top of my Dream Trooper. My green screen is on, so it's kind of messing with this. Hold on. Boom, there we go. So we got the Dream Trooper custom Cerakoted. I had this done a while ago because that remember the crappy powder coating that was
Yeah.
on there?
I remember those.
Yeah, it came off just standing on my desk. It just started to like cry and fall off. And it let out like a little sigh too. It was like it was like the magic released from it. So I had to just spend the money and get it redone. And it's Halloween themed, I think. Like it got a nice this is the Half Moon Tenacious tip. Because I haven't picked up a heavy tip yet. I will be doing that. But I like it all around. The black, the silver, the Stormtrooper, the orange. This is my homage to Halloween. It's delicious. I've got Tango Melon inside because I've come to the conclusion that no matter how many breaks I take from it, it's still my favorite. So it's got to be in rotation. Speaking of Tango Melon, it's inside of this setup as well. I love these little simple DNA squonkers, and I have 2 of them, and I take breaks from them as well. Oh my gosh, I just realized there's no squonk bottle in here. I've been dripping this. I've been too lazy to refill the bottle, so I've been sticking the bottle in this tiny little tip and just juicing it.
Hey, man.
Glorious.
That's what she said.
Whatever keeps
the
the
tip
vaping,
in.
bro.
That's the Skyfall on top. And last, oh wait, Tango Melon's not in there. Sorry, it's Pango.
Yeah, dude.
That's a pineapple mango. That's really good. Really, really good. I'm sure that would sing in the Ohana as well as the Tango Melon, but I'm too lazy to switch the juices. Lastly, this is basically what I've been vaping on for weeks. I mean, you guys saw this last week, but this is the K-Fun Prime on top of the Prestige Zero Mini, little MOSFETted 18350 mod side fire. And inside of that, I have 5150 Straight Jacket, which I actually finished that 60 mil finally, 12 milligram. It's an oak barrel, salted butterscotch custard cream. Finally memorized it, nailed it. And that's what I've got, and I'm gonna pass it on to Poon Sauce McNeostia.
Oh, thank you. First setup I got is my infected with the Death Trap VT. Yeah, with some Nam's coconut sticky rice. And then I got a Warlock's hammer, the dead rabbit, and inside of there I got some Sickwood Crispies in there.
That stuff is so good.
And then I've been running regulated for some apparent reason this week and a half probably. So I got my Sigelli 218 with the Rebirth RTA with some of our buddy Overdrip's peanut butter custard in there.
Ooh.
And then finally I got my Black Copper Dreamer with the Ohana Half Moon tip on top of there. And inside of there I got some Silverback Lola. And that's all I got. What about you, Dan?
I got Dreamer Dead Goat combo, DHD Chop Top, Coil Turd Coils in there with some stuff that you'll never see because it didn't make it to market. Tropical Citrus, this is from VPN. They were coming out with a new line when Whitmer decided to do her whole flavor band and all this stuff, so all the money sunk into it's gone. So it's a shame, man. It's really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it.
That's a bummer, man.
It is, man. Got my Stratum Zero, just a gear on top with the Duo Guava Dragon Fruit. Really good stuff. And then my 1 Gen M with the Jenna on top. And in that, my all day, every day, Boule Bolu.
Hashtag Banana Land.
Hashtag Banana Land. James, I'm done, bud. What do you got?
All right. Well, I got a couple things here, guys. I got the Barrage on top of the double barrel 2.1 with a Blizzard chop top tip on that. I also have a single Alien from Band Builds in there that's banging right now with some Fountain Blast Off. Shout outs to our sponsor OPMH. You guys already know this is one of my favorite liquids of all time right here, and it tastes absolutely delicious out of this Barrage. Next setup I've got is my black stainless Dreamer with the Cosmonaut V2 on top. Yeah, that's right. I got my hands on one. You guys already know how much I love the original, and let me just say, this one is definitely living up to that same type of vape, guys. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. And inside of that, big shout out to LPMH again. The Real Dill Custard. This is their churro custard. This stuff is delicious, guys. The cinnamon in it is not overpowering whatsoever. It's just delicious. Really good with coffee in the morning as well. Next setup I have the Ohana with the heavy tip on there. You know, might as well since we got the dudes themselves here. And I got that on the UL Soul Keeper just because I like the shiny black finish with the shiny black finish of the mod. And inside of that, I've got some Boom 6 and Out by the Bogan's Brews Black Currant Lychee. Absolutely loving this stuff, and it tastes phenomenal out of this Ohana as well. And well, since you're back, Heavy, why don't you tell us what you're vaping on, dude?
Well, I'm chewing on ass. That's what I'm chewing. But I'm vaping on the Ohana, not the Ohana. This is not a goddamn Ohana. This is fucking billet box. With the Zeta inside of there, I've got the Ohana on top of Johnny's favorite mech mod, the Siege.
What's wrong with it? Can we clarify that once and for all?
There's nothing wrong with the mod. I just despise the company.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Business ethics, bro.
I've got Venus because this is natural male enhancement, scientifically proven to grow your penis size.
Mm-hmm.
I need all the help I can get. Plus, I've got the Warlock's hammer with the Sherman V1.5 or 2 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know. There's some Heisenberry Crunch from the Cloud Chemist in that, and that's pretty much it. I really need to hit this joker one time.
Go for it, dude. Go for it. So
can we talk about how many good juices? We're just
dude, so many of them. And speaking about juices, I do want to take a second, even though I kind of gave them a shout out already. I do want to shout out OPMH Project. You guys already know we're glad to say that we're sponsored up with these guys. You know, you guys hear about them all the time here when it comes down to the Fountain, Real Dill Custard, Watson. They do carry a lot of other liquids as well. They do wholesale and distribution. So if you guys want to go check them out, opmhproject.com. And of course, a huge shout out and thank you to our other amazing sponsor, Independent Vapor Company. You know, the home of Mr. Manager Dansfield down here. If you guys are in the Roseville, Michigan area, make your guys' way out to Independent Vapor Company. Go show them some love. And, of course, you guys can also order online. Go grab up some of the delicious liquids, guys. They have great flavors, great business practice, and they're just all around just great people to, support in this industry. Because not only do they fight for our rights as well, but they are on top of their stuff over there, guys, and are definitely well informed. So much love to Independent Vapor Company. And with that being said, we're gonna roll into one of our favorite segments of the week, guys. You guys already know it. You guys love it, or at least I know it and I love it. Are you ready for it, Corey? It's time for What's in the News, Poon Sauce.
Oh my God. Why? Okay.
Real quick,
Can
I interrupt this real quick?
Absolutely, go ahead.
I mean, I hate to be the one throwing wrenches around, but Dan, did he just say you're in Michigan?
Yes, sir.
How fucked are y'all right now?
We can talk about it. We can let Corey do his thing. We're not fucked right now. All right. She went after nicotine flavored e-liquid. So we came up with, let's not have the flavor in there. And if you want to add it later, or maybe buy something that's already pre-mixed together to go in your bottle that we might sell for all our CBD products, but you're an adult when you walk out the door and want to add it into your bottle, that's on you. I don't condone it.
Got it.
Aha.
So is there an exception for 0 milligram?
A lot of people are doing it. I think there is an exception.
Okay.
I just put at one point in time we put short fills over to the UK just to see if our stuff would go out there. So I just put those on the shelf because our labels don't say anything about nicotine at 0 milligram. And if you have access to nic shots like at our shop, then then you're good to go.
Okay.
So it's called loopholes, and we are using every one that we can.
Yeah, I get that, and I knew that was kind of coming. Is like the loopholes are going to be there, and the people that want to stay in business are going to find those. But I think it's absurd that we have to live as an industry in a fucking loophole.
I agree,
dude. Can we take advantage of that?
If it keeps the access there, then loopholes.
Here's my thoughts about it. If you weren't smart enough to figure a way to do this kind of thing, you were a shitty shop and don't really deserve to be able, because we have shitty shops. You know what I mean? Don't know what they're talking about. Just want to make the sale, yada, yada, yada. So if you didn't figure out a way, your heart really is not in the industry. You were just trying to do a money grab anyways. So peace out. We'll still be around. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Fair enough. That's how it should be. If you're not doing the right thing, if you're too dumb to read the fucking legislation and figure it out, then go fuck yourself.
The people that had good shops knew what was going on. So they made a decision. They pivoted. They made a transition. They're good to go.
Does anybody have a secret door that you knock on 3 times and you say the secret password and you can go downstairs? And there's like a secret prohibition shop that you can buy your shit at? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's
bro.
just a chest full of flavored nicotine liquid, and you're just rummaging through.
Yes.
Yeah. It's in the works.
Yeah, there's a secret knock, and then you have to give them the password. But anyways, we'll go ahead.
So anyway, sorry about that, Poon Sauce.
You're good.
No worries. Go ahead and tell them what's in the news this week, Poon Sauce.
Well, this isn't really like a news article. It's a new study that was kind of just announced. It's pretty new. I thought it was pretty interesting that it's showing the lung decline of a pack a day smoker and like a couple cigarette a day smoker, and they showed that there's not really much of a difference of a lung decline when it comes to somebody who smoked a pack and a half to, let's say, you smoke 5 cigarettes a day. So I thought that was very interesting. I know one of our lovely moderators, Olivia, is about to throw it in chat. It's pretty interesting to see because I always like finding out the new stuff when it comes to new studies that even involves the decrease or the effects of smoking still, because that's good ammunition for us. So we find out more studies and we can use that to our advantage unless legislation says otherwise, to where you can't promote how much better vaping is than cigarettes. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. I know there was a couple other things going on.
So you're saying if I'm a 5 cigarette a day smoker compared to a pack and a half, the lungs are the same.
The decrease of lung function is a very similar. It decreases at a very similar rate. It's a closer rate. This was done by Columbia University. I can't say that.
That's crazy to me. I mean, I was never a 5 cigarette a day smoker. You know what I mean? I was a pack and a half, and I know how it made me feel. But
I just want to read something out of this real quick. Pretty much what it says the analysis found that the lung function in light smokers declines at a rate much closer to that of a heavy smoker than a non-smoker, meaning a light smoker could lose about the same amount of lung function in a year as a heavy smoker might lose in 9 months.
That's insane. That there's such a
that's
small
that close.
gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody see that tweet from the lady Erin who responded to a girl's? She was a 1 pot a day Juul user, and
oh god, I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, but this relates because she said that she went back to smoking just 2 to 3 cigarettes a day, and then the lady from PAVE, I think her name's Erin, she praised her for going back to cigarettes.
The cigarettes. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I saw that.
Jesus Christ.
I saw that earlier. Ranger tagged me in that on Instagram, and I read it, and I was like, hold up, I didn't fucking read that right. So I read it again, and I was like, I'm missing something here. So I read it again, and I was like, this fucking bitch is off her goddamn rocker.
Yeah, fun fact, that lady, her husband is a risk analyst that is actually employed by Philip Morris. So if you want to talk about a conflict of interest,
Yeah.
a woman that's running, Parents Against Vaping, her husband is partially employed by one of the biggest tobacco companies in the world. So just a little fun fact in case you guys didn't know that.
Another fun fact is when I used to smoke and I'd go to my doctor, I very vividly remember, he'd be like, how much do you smoke a day typically? And I'd be like, 4 to 5 cigarettes a day, at that time. And he's like, oh, that's not so bad, So he was basically making me feel like I wasn't as bad off. I know that smoking is bad for me, but I don't smoke that much. Now we're realizing, look at the science. The science says it is just as bad. Just don't. And what's funny too is that in the 10 plus years that I went to this doctor, I don't go to this doctor anymore. He's a douche. But the 10 plus years that I went to this doctor, he never tried to give me an alternative. He never said, have you considered quitting, or have you considered trying, nicotine gum or some other cessation product?
Why would he? That means you're going to keep coming to him.
Yeah, well, my doctor was the same way. I smoked for 9 years, and I would go and get at least a routine physical every year for my work.
Right.
And every year I was honest. I told them that I smoked cigarettes. And my doctor would always give me like the frowny face. And he'd be like, you should quit, and offer me no alternatives. Well, when I started vaping in 2015, I went and got a physical. And I had been vaping for probably 3 or 4 months at that point. And he's like, so how do you feel? And I was like, actually, better than I have in a long time. I quit smoking. He's like, that's great. How did you do it? And I said, well, I've been vaping. And he's like, well, where did you hear about that from? And I was like, well, actually, my mom she quit smoking from vaping. And he goes, oh, well, that's great. And he was totally in support of it. Now, I don't know if his stance would change at this point because I don't have a doctor anymore, but it was refreshing to hear. And he was an older doctor. He was in his 60s. So to hear him, he basically said it in a few words or less, whatever you can do to get away from cigarettes is a good choice.
Okay.
So,
Dude, I
had
had
it on him.
Do you think if you
I had a lady. Go ahead.
Do you think if you went back to the same doctor now, with all the stuff that's in the news, he'd say the same thing?
Probably not.
you know what?
It's the only
I'm
thing
not
that sucks.
sure.
It would be a
because
conflict of interest for him.
Yeah.
He's a doctor. He's originally from India, and I know for a fact that some of my mom's friends went there, and they talked to him about doing like herbal healing and stuff like that, and he was all for it as long as you could see or feel some results, whether it was placebo or not. He was in support of it, so he was very open-minded. So
Okay. All right.
I've actually thought about going and finding him to see if I could get a medical card. But
I kind of want to go find him and have a good doctor actually give me good doctoral
right.
advice.
yeah, if he wasn't an hour and a half from where I live now, I would definitely still see him. But
Well, my mobile shop. So one of the 3 shops that I have is literally across the street from the second largest hospital in Mobile County. And a lady came in, and this has been well over a year ago. She came in and she said, well, we got to get him off of cigarettes. I said, okay, great. Here's the most effective way to deliver nicotine. I showed him a couple of options. He wound up with I don't know, some kind of pod system. It may have been an Orion when they first came out. And he left out, and they made mention that he was at the heart doctor, and his cardiologist said, there's a vape shop right over there. If you want to quit smoking, go see them. So it kind of stuck in my head, and I was like, well, I wonder who the fucking cardiologist was. About a week later, in comes a guy, fairly nicely dressed, looked like a professional guy. He came in, asked about some of the products, about some of the this, that, and the other. And I was assuming he would, he had kind of done his research online and was looking for different stuff. And he was like, yeah, my name's Dr. So-and-so. I'm a cardiologist over here at Providence, and I'm going to start sending people over here because y'all clearly know what you're talking about.
That's awesome.
And this is a fucking board certified cardiologist. So like, we're not talking about an RN, in the fucking infant ward. We're talking about a full blown PhD doctor sending people to us that have got to make that switch. So there are still some good doctors out there. It's just like cops. You can't lump all cops in because some of them are shitbags.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the kind of relationship we should have with the medical field, because if you look at it and see all these doctors that are for vaping, a lot of them are cardiologists. A lot of them, and some of these doctors are like, what's her name? That's an addiction doctor that went on CSBC and did a fantastic job of talking about what nicotine actually is, and then like how it's not that bad for you. It's really like she mentioned how similar it is to caffeine, and like the harmfulness to it is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, and the addictive qualities are pretty much less than, caffeine is more addictive than nicotine. Nicotine itself, the placebo effect of addiction, same with marijuana. Marijuana is not seen as an addictive substance, but based on person to person experience, certain people are addicted to certain things, and habitual addiction. Like this is a habit. That's why it's an addiction, not the substance itself.
Especially with marijuana, like when you try to draw that line of similarity, I never had a problem putting it down. Like Brittany straight up told me, she said, look, we're going to have a fucking kid. It's either you quit this or I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I had no problem putting it down. So, knowing that there's medical uses, there's legitimate medical uses for things like bipolar disorder and PTSD and anxiety and stuff like that marijuana is like literally custom tailored for. It's not so much an addiction as it's actual medicine.
Right. Can we talk about also the idea of, self-responsibility in this? Because at the end of the day too, like cigarettes, my wife, because speaking of ultimatums, my wife said to me, if you don't quit, you can keep smoking, but you need to have quit by the time that we're up there saying our vows, or else I'm not, we're not going through with this. And
my wife said the same thing.
Exactly. It's just like quit smoking or we don't get married, and I was like, okay. And it was hard. Don't get me wrong. It was hard. And vaping made it much easier. But outside of that, it's a self-responsibility thing. At the end of the day, if I didn't have vaping, I would have quit. Knowing myself, I would have quit smoking and done it. I've done it cold turkey in the past. It's something where I enjoyed it. That's the reason why I kept going back. That was the real addiction, was to the enjoyment of it. But self-responsibility, guys. No one's holding a gun to your head. You may have the shakes. You may really desire it. It's like an opioid addiction. It's really difficult, right? But you can get over it through willpower, through sheer willpower. That's
you
what
also
most
have to
programs
remember,
help you with.
You also have to remember that you're not strictly addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
Period. It's the 4,000 other chemicals you're enjoying make a cocktail that is highly addictive. That's the problem with addiction to cigarettes. It's not the nicotine.
Including the rat and bird shit that's commonly found in cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, it
think about smoking a turd every time you want to light up a cigarette. So
does the nicotine add to the addictiveness? Absolutely. I don't think anybody's denying that. It is an addictive chemical. However, it's not nearly the culprit that it's made out to be in a cigarette.
Well, and
Absolutely.
then, like kind of going back to what Poon Sauce said about being related to caffeine. I have several friends that have young teenagers that are 13, 14 years old. A couple of my buddies that had kids when they were real young, and my one buddy was telling me about how his 14-year-old doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke weed, doesn't do drugs, but he literally has an addiction to Monsters, and he can't give his kid money because his kid will drink 6 to 7 Monsters in a day.
That's insane.
Now, there's literally people that die like often from heart failure because of drinking too much caffeine. Not to mention all the other things that are in a Monster besides the caffeine.
Dude,
and, I love Monster. Don't get me wrong. I drink maybe 2 or 3 a week, but if I was a parent, any kid can walk into a 7-Eleven and buy the entire shelf of Monster.
Yeah.
And who's stopping them from drinking it?
Well, and I mean, I'm in that boat, dude. I cannot get my day started without coffee.
Yep.
Right.
Like I do not function well without coffee. I
That's
told
good.
I told the manager at my Gulfport shop. I was in there this morning. He came walking in and I said, "You see this cup?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Until that level is down here, stay the fuck out there. Don't get me started."
You gotta get the engine ramped up, man.
Yeah,
That
until my
is.
cold brew is 3/4 of the way gone, don't even come in here.
Yep. I mean, if I don't have any form of caffeine by like lunchtime, it's straight migraine status, dude. And until I have a sip of coffee or a Coke or a Monster, dude, my head is
Dude,
about.
I'm right there with you. I start every morning either with a cup of coffee or a Monster. I need
Yep.
that. I need that energy boost to get me going. And then once I've had that, I can go about
Yeah.
my day normally,
Yeah.
and I ain't got to worry about it. But I got to get that first thing in the morning.
Can we
That
talk about how the Monster logo is literally satanic?
I've seen that.
I didn't know that, but I'm down to listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in Hebrew, right? You know how the Monster logo is like 3 7s, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Hebrew, that symbol translates into the number 6. So there's literally 666 on the front of the can
That's crazy.
in a different language.
I mean, I feel like I should
Probably
have
why I
had
haven't
my,
maybe
my,
never drunk
my
it.
tinfoil hat on for that
yeah,
one.
dude. My mind was just blown right there.
I've never had Monster.
I-
I think I've tried it before and it made me nauseous. I think it's because it was literally fighting with my, the blood, the genes in me that are Jewish, like my
That
Abraham
could,
blood.
dude. That
Yep.
could
Son of
possibly have
Abraham
been
blood.
it, bro. That could have been it for sure.
I used to drink Monsters all the time. I would go to work. I'd stop at the store and they were like 2 for $5. I'd drink 2 of them a day, sometimes 3.
Yep.
But the past couple of years, I just cut myself off from it. I've probably had 3 in the past like 2.5 years.
Yep.
I just stopped, dude. I just started drinking water. I don't drink pop that much anymore. I just
Shit, my mom even said it right here. She's in chat. She said, "Don't even look at me until I've had my cup of coffee in the morning." And that's 100%
Exactly.
facts. Fact. I know. I've known this since a little kid. You know, if she doesn't have a cup of coffee in her hand in the morning, don't talk to her, unless you want to get like your head ripped off just for like saying, "Hey, mom, good morning." Don't even do it. Don't even do it. And I think I kind of got that from her because unless I've had my coffee, dude, just don't even mess
Yeah.
with me.
Let's be honest. That's why we're arguing this, right? At the end of the day, it just it helps that it's healthier vaping than the alternative. But at the end, but what we're really fighting for is the choice. As adults, we have habits, we have vices. Life is stressful. Life is tough. We have lots of things on our plates, all of us, and we choose to have a vice. Some people choose food. Look at obesity and overeating. That is an issue, right? That's a health issue. Drinking too much caffeine issue.
Body by
People
bread.
need it though. So you need to find a healthy medium with things, but we're saying give us the choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're going to
Well,
ban
that-
vaping, ban smoking. If you're not going to ban smoking, you can't ban vaping. Sorry.
Well, if they're talking about banning stuff, they should just ban taxes because I don't want to pay those.
Well,
Dude,
technically, yeah.
for real.
I'd be all game for
Taxation.
ban on taxes. So.
Taxation is robbery anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, think about this. I just had to pay, and I find this out too. Different states have different methods of taxation as well. Like I have to pay multiple times a year. I have to renew the registration on a vehicle that I've already paid for. It's like I'm having to pay more than some other states. You buy the car once, you pay the registration once until you switch vehicles. I'm paying multiple times a year.
Yeah.
It's like
I pay
there's
every
all
year.
different ways that they're just stealing money
Well,
from you.
same thing with property tax. You pay tax on a property that you paid for
That
for
you
30
own.
years. You pay
Yeah.
it off. You still owe the government for you to own your property.
right.
I mean, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, speaking
We're
of
not arguing that.
your own
you know?
property, why don't we kind of switch lanes here and talk of something that's a little bit of yours, Johnny, and a little bit of yours, Heavy. Talk about
Okay.
this Ohana, bro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. You guys,
Ohana.
I'm sure if you guys have subbed to the channel, you've probably seen my review on this thing already and already know my thoughts on it. And long story short, I've thoroughly been enjoying the vape experience off of this thing when it comes down to airflow and flavor and everything. Just everything about it. It's a solid product. But what I want to know. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this real quick, because
Absolutely.
I got a question for you. This is a very, very touchy subject for a lot of people. What do you think about the logo?
The logo, not a huge fan of.
Okay, so but here's my okay. I get that, and
Looks
I'm
like
okay
it says
with it.
Ohana.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with whatever, however you feel some kind of way about the logo. I get that. But when the fuck has a logo ever
Deterred you from buying something?
Not
done
at all.
anything
Yeah.
to help with performance?
No,
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with the way that it performs whatsoever.
Hey, you know what you can do? You can go like this.
And like exactly,
Yeah.
all I got to do is turn it around to where it's not facing me, and I ain't got to
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah,
Or you could
just
be
use
like
the fucking-
Mr. Louis Nicolette, and he just sanded his down.
Yeah, he made it a brushed for down.
or you could just I don't know, use the clear cap where you can't even hardly fucking see it.
Or you can just look at it and be like, it's funny because
Like
it
I
looks
even
like it
said
says
in my
Ohaha.
like I even said in my review, wasn't a huge fan of the logo, but at the end of the day, does it change how it vapes? No, I still
Exactly.
get a solid vape out of it when it comes down to the flavor, the airflow, just even the build on it. Super easy to build. You literally give a coil jig, drop your coil in there, cut them down, drop them in there. Easy as that. You know what I mean? But what I want to know is I want to kind of talk to you guys about like your guys' thought process of like kind of developing this and like what kind of brought you guys to the ultimate product that we have here.
Take it away, Heavy.
So Johnny kind of I think he already had this idea for a build deck sitting in his head, because when I like I talked to our rep at AI Vape, and he said, you want to work on a project? And I said, sure, no problem. And I thought back to a conversation Johnny and I had in Chattanooga, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring Johnny in on this one because I love the Warrior. I feel like the Warrior got the Warrior had its issue right out of the gate, and I told him, I said, if a project comes up, I want to work with you. I want to do a collab, just because you're my dude. Like that's how we roll. So I hit him up, and dude, I probably asked Johnny if he wanted to do the project at, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock my time. By 1 o'clock in the morning, he already had sketches sent over to me, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man, slow down, cowboy. I don't know how quick we're going to work. And it was one of those things that he sent me a rough draft, and I said, okay, what if we kind of round this off and square this up a little bit? And we got it over to him, and it was one of those things where we didn't know what we didn't know. So we didn't know that if juice was going to get down into the bottom of the well. That was one of my huge things, is like where that airflow grate is. If we put really small holes on there, we're going to cut all the fucking airflow out of it. But if we put them too big, it's just going to drain down in there. So, pretty much we got to roll the fucking dice here and wait till we get a prototype to know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And that was the literally the first thing I did out of the box. I put a build in it, I put cotton in it, and I took a bottle of juice and went.
It's the first thing I did.
And just sat there and looked at it, and I was like, looks like it ain't going nowhere. And I took a pull off of it, and it got a little bit of spit back. And, I said, you know what? Look, if that's the worst thing we've got to worry about on this thing, we're doing really good for a first run proto.
Yeah.
And that was one of Heavy's questions was, if we're going to do a true bottom airflow, I don't want to do it if we can do it with where it's going to be piss and juice all over the place.
You know what I think is a simple solution that was created was just in the reduction of the top there. Like if you had left it wide all the way around like a barrel, and when you put that airflow AFC part on there, you would have had way more of a propensity for spit back because there was way more area there. But I can, like, that was remember when we were on the NHOTS and I was like, I don't have this thing, but if you put a bunch of juice in there, it looks like you're going to get a bunch of spit back. And you showed it, you squonked it, and you vaped it. And I was like, I believe you, but I still need to try it myself. Because I don't know. But I really feel like because of just that small, little things, like you were talking about the heavy tip, not to derail this, but a little advancement, a little like idea to change something, and it can make such a huge difference. That's where the refinements are happening in vaping now, where everything seems to vape pretty damn good, But the real innovative things, the things that really surprise you with regard to like, all right, there's not a severe amount of airflow, but I can vape a really hot vape in this and not burn the shit out of my mouth with hot magma lava. There's small little things about this that surprise the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Right.
trying to convince Heavy that the design was trying to prevent spitback with how the juice could pull up in the airflow was kind of something that ran through my head. And that's kind of why we went postless, so that the coils would sit directly over top of it. So if juice did get trapped in there, it would shoot straight up, obviously, path of least resistance. But there is a resistance. There's 2 fucking 3 millimeter coils sitting right underneath or right over top. And, you know, I was very confident in the design, but like Heavy said, you don't know until you know. So, you know, Heavy was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then he got it. And like, I don't know if Heavy's probably told the story before, but Heavy got him 5 days before I did, the first prototype. And he's like vaping on. He's like, man, this thing's fucking great. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I can't wait to see it. See it someday. And he was a true man of his word. He shipped it right away, and I got it a few days later. And you know, we were both kind of blown away. And I can attest this to Heavy that his Patreons do mean a lot to him, and he appreciates their thoughts and opinions. He sent one out for beta testing to one of our Patreon, or one of his Patreons, Stephen Garlington. And he also got to meet up with Charlie Vape Lab, who's on Scott's Hot Tub, the Vape Hot Tub. And Charlie got to try it in person. Stephen had one. And they gave us some feedback on the first prototype. We made about 2 changes to it, and it was done after that. So it was a very different experience for me, as opposed to the experience I had working on the Warrior with Batofo. Just night and day difference as far as AI Vape just said, give us an idea. What do you want? And, you know, we wanted to add a 25 millimeter top cap in case somebody put a hot build in it.
Yeah.
You know, to obviously keep down on the heat. Also, we went with that non-adjustable style so that you can just put the top cap on and it'll match up to your 25 millimeter tubes, because we figured if somebody was going to run a hot build, they're going to want to use it on a tube, and most tubes are 25 millimeter.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of small things that we put thought into when we designed the Ohana that, you know, we don't expect every single person to pick up on every single one.
Yeah.
But a lot of people live the advantage and see the advantage, but don't even really recognize it. So
yeah. And when they sent the first run prototypes, I sent one to Steven, one to Johnny. I had one, and my wife has one. And she was a Warrior user all day, every day. Like it almost pained her to put the Warrior down to use anything else. And we literally sat in a Zoom room one night in a breakout room, and I literally started at the top, and I said, okay, what let's think about this as critically as possible, take our personal bias out of the picture, and the drip tip. What can we do to improve, or is it a push, or what? What about the top cap? Is there anything we can do to improve this, that, and the other? And Steven said, you know, I put a 07 in here. I put it on a dual parallel 21700. It got a little hot. Well, me and Johnny had already been thinking about this. We were going to go with either an Ultima or a polycarbonate top cap anyways to eliminate that being a problem.
Yeah.
Right? There's one of 2. I don't even have one anymore. But after that, we went down to the build deck. Okay, what can we improve, if anything? Where does this need to be changed? We came up with, well, I think that, yeah, this is a prototype build deck. So right there, you can see those little air inlets are squared up. They're not rounded off. When I was installing my coil, I ran my finger across it, and I was like, well, shit, that's sharp. That needs to go. So they've been rounded off. then we went down to post screws. Post screws were fine out of the gate. No need to change those. Plus, you're going to get extras anyways. Then we went to the 510. Like, is there anything that needs to go? Well, I'm a mech guy. I'm not going to release something with a short 510 pin because I want to run it on a mech mod.
Yeah.
90% of mechs that are out now are hybrid. So you got to make sure that that pin's long. So everything that we gave them as far as that meeting went, we sat down and outlined this, and this. And then what do we need to include in the packaging to make this experience as best as possible? And that included the extra post screws, the squonk pin, all the typical stuff, the coil cutting tool. I went through 8 or 10 different coil cutting tools, and fucking huge shout out to Mike Vapes. The Rebirth RTA or the Rebirth RDA coil cutting tool is the exact size. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things where we literally sat down and thought about this from a perspective of somebody that's been doing video reviews, that's been picking shit apart for years. And we went through it with that kind of perspective and said, okay, this needs to go, this needs to change, this needs to change, this, and this. And look, whether it sells 5 or 5 million, I'm proud as fuck of this fucking thing. I am so proud of this. It's, I understand there's a lot of personal bias involved, but like when I tell you it's the best flavor I've ever had, take it for what it's worth. But I guarantee you there's a couple of people on this panel that know I'm not lying.
Oh, I can agree with you 100%, man. It has got some banging fucking flavor, dude. I'm just gonna cut you because both you and Johnny have both seen my video on it, but like I was pleasantly surprised by this RDA. Like there was a few things that I was kind of iffy on. Like they're very similar to like you guys. Like, am I gonna be able to blow my juice down it, and is it gonna get like gurgly, spit back, leak? Like that first thing I did. Like you said, Heavy, as soon as I got it, I threw a build in it, wicked it up, and just grabbed a bottle of juice and just went crazy, dude. And just blood it down there and just waited, like you said, to see where it went. Didn't look like it was going nowhere. It took a drag. Like, the first initial pull, I got a little gurgle just because it was just, I did have a little bit of a pull because I went crazy. But, like, after, like, that initial inhale, that went away. Didn't get any crazy spit back. And the only time I got this thing to leak was I literally went ham. Like, I was at the point where I was trying to make it leak, right? And I just went ham, and I was holding it straight up, nothing, right? And then as soon as I go to tip it to vape, I just get a little dribble down the side. And it's just because I had probably, like, I don't know, this entire thing filled up with liquid before I decided I wanted to try and vape it. But yeah. The one thing I was kind of iffy on too was the airflow, because before I put a build in it, I kind of took a pull on it with the cap on. I was like, oh, this is a little restricted. I don't know. Am I going to be able to put my regular, mech build in here? Well, let's give it a shot. Throw my normal mech build in there, threw it on top of a tube. And yes, it was a little bit more restricted than I was expecting, but like you guys said, that flavor that came along with that slight restriction and the smoothness of the airflow, I was like, okay. They have something here. All right.
And that's something that I was kind of adamant about with AI and with Johnny. It surprised me because, Johnny's gotten into the high end realm, and that's usually single coil, restricted air, but flavor. And, he's like, you sure you don't want to go with a little bit more air? Are you 100%? And I'm like, dude, my thought is if we fuck with this airflow at all, whether it's the size of the inlet holes, whether it's any variation in the amount of airflow you're taking in, it's gonna subtract from the flavor. Because I've said it 1,000 times. There's a really fine line that you have to walk when you're talking about airflow versus flavor, right? And it's kind of like the scales of justice. You can have a shit ton of airflow, but the flavor is not going to be great. You can have a shit ton of flavor, but you're not going to have a whole lot of airflow. And I mean, the more Johnny has gotten into high end, I think he would fully agree with that. Well, anybody in here really would tend to agree with that. And I think where we were at is that really good balance. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I mean, well, fuck it, I'll say it's perfect, but other people may think otherwise. But like, I think it's the perfect balance between just enough airflow to where you can run it. You can run it a little bit hot. You can run it more conservative. I think it's running that fine line that says this is where it's got to be, right? You're getting plenty of airflow with great flavor. So it kind of balanced out. And I was pretty adamant with them because, they sent us a message and was like, are you sure we don't need more airflow? Because the U.S. market likes big clouds and big flavor. And I'm like, well, you can't have both. So where we're at right now, don't fucking touch it.
And what I like that you guys did with it is, like you said, you sacrifice certain things to get what you guys wanted to get out of it. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to put the right amount of airflow we want in it, but we're going to get the flavor that we want. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's not necessarily about the right amount of airflow we wanted. It's with me being a tube mech guy, I like series builds. I tend to vape pretty hot. I hand people mechs all the time and they're like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking scorching. You would expect something that I designed would have big airflow to be able to accommodate those hot builds and stuff. And it was just, it's not the amount of airflow that we were looking for. It's the amount of airflow that's right for this.
Absolutely. I'm going to speak to that now because I've been listening to it. I'm like, that is the biggest point of contention for this RDA is its best feature, in my opinion. This is a hot vape in here. I've been told not to say my resistances on live stream, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a hot vape. It's a low vape and it's hot. And I just do half as long a pull and I get just the right amount of hot, dense vapor in my gullet and so much flavor. At the end of the day, if you want, a Goon 1.5 wide open, this is not a Goon 1.5 wide open. But your Goon 1.5 wide open, I don't like that. I don't enjoy it. I find that I'm sacrificing a lot of flavor just so I can breathe twice as long and get probably the same satisfaction of a vape as I can get from this. Look at that. I get more battery life off of this too because I take half the time to pull it. I bet you that this thing on a lower battery, as the battery sags, tastes better than on your ones that have a really wide open airflow that, all right, the battery sags. Now I got to turn my airflow down halfway because I want to get that same satisfying, warm, cloudy vape. I get this all the way through. So like I said, the biggest point of contention that you guys think in your mind is the restriction of the vape on this for people that like really rowdy builds. It delivers. It makes it worth getting over all the competition that may vape similarly, but you have to turn the airflow down. This was made to vape like this, and I really respect that. Johnny Dribbles, who likes high-end, understands the reason why people like us really enjoy high-end is because these modders are not apologetic about being like, this is how it's supposed to vape. This is how it's supposed to vape, and it's really good, okay? So if you have a problem with that, we can't
said it. We said it in our release video. I mean, was it designed for series? Absolutely not. Can you do it? Within reason, yes, but you won't get as good of a vape quality out of it as you would a 4.2 standard mech vape. Heavy and I ran a build that we shouldn't talk about on a series stack while I was down there filming the video. And it can be done, but to me personally, it's not enjoyable.
I did it.
Somebody else, it may be. But
I did it for science purposes.
Yeah. But, and just to go back, we knew releasing this RDA the way that we wanted it and the way that we decided to go with it, that it wasn't going to appeal to everybody. And mainly because I feel like when somebody designs an RDA that tries to appeal to everybody's style, it may be everybody's kind of ish, type of RDA, but it's not one that everybody loves.
It's gonna impede on its ability to be the best.
Right.
And that's what I respect about you guys is you weren't trying to please everybody. You guys were trying to put out a solid product with the idea that you guys came up with and not trying to steer away from it. You guys knew what you wanted and how you wanted to achieve it. And you went for it, and you
your
did
own
it.
personal bias didn't corrupt the vision.
Exactly.
And I'll just say it. I told this to Heavy, and I told this to Swags. I wanted a Skyfall type quality vape as far as airflow, smoothness, and flavor, but in a dual coil version. And
I haven't even thought about that, but I'd say I'm a little bit biased in this because you can't not be biased. You guys are my friends, and I'm proud. I'm damn proud of the product you put out. But it vapes. Like, I'm vaping. I mean, I've had these things set up. I'm vaping my Skyfall, which is my all day, every day, and I'm vaping the Ohana because there aren't any dual coil addies for somebody like me that likes the small flavor banger restricted vape kind of. I can get it hot at 30 watts, right? This caters to my style of vaping. I like restriction. I will cut down something that's really, really hot, like even the Turk V2. I'll cut it down to 3/4 airflow because I want to have a little restriction that I can feel. I like the restriction. I liked the
funny thing about that is
had the restriction. You know,
you Swags, you're one of the people who have gotten me into like the little single coil flavor bangers recently, and I was like most cloud checkers out there, a lot of air, a lot of heat, like big crazy clouds. That was what I was about. And then I slowly started messing with a lot of these little single coil flavor bangers and realizing the flavor experience you can get off of a small reduced chamber with a little bit of restriction to the airflow, to where when I went back to some of my mech builds and stuff, I was starting to turn my airflow down on certain RDAs that I normally wouldn't turn it down on, just because I noticed the denseness of the vapor kind of happen. It gets a little bit more dense, and the flavor kind of picks up a little bit.
Yes.
And it does get a little bit more warm, but I enjoyed that out of it because that was similar to those little single coil experiences that I got. And just kind of it's kind of made me more of a well-rounded vapor, I'd say, because I enjoy many different aspects of vaping when it comes down to it now, because I wasn't necessarily willing to try it. Like, nah, that's not for me. I don't want to try it. This is what I like. This is what I'm going to vape. And then, I start trying these different things and finding out that I can even find an enjoyable vape with some of these things that I never thought that I would enjoy, just because I had to spend a little bit of time with it and find what was right. And then, like, going to something like this, like Johnny's saying, you could see that you guys have kind of taken your time and thought about how the airflow is going to affect the flavor, and how everything all kind of comes together with it. And you can tell you guys spent your time with it, and it just
Poon
shows,
Sauce.
man.
Poon Sauce, you're a series vapor, dude. It's no secret to anybody here or that's watching that you love stacks and you love series. So how do you feel about it? I think that's the most interesting point the point that I'm most interested in is yours.
Yeah.
See, with a series vape, you're going to be looking for a little bit more air because you know how much power that thing is producing. So when I look for, I personally, I've never even thought of putting this on a stack. There's no reason for me to do, because this is the perfect amount of airflow I like for a tube mod. It really is, because even when I just turned it down a little bit just to kind of see what it would be, because I never really experimented with turning that airflow down a little bit because I liked it so good. Like, it's perfect to be wide open. But even if I did it down maybe a quarter of the way, nothing really changes with the flavor. It gets better, it gets denser, but the vape experience is still that damn good. And I can't, for putting this in a series build first, the series builds I like, they're kind of bigger of a build, so I don't think this would accommodate it as well. Like, you're looking for probably, I'll give an example right here.
The thing about series,
it's a bigger coil.
The thing about series on the Ohana is if you're gonna go for a series build, my recommendation would be like a 28 gauge wrapped in 40 single coil. And that's just being honest with you, because that way you can get that you can get to that 0.4-ish, where it's going to be around the same production as a single battery. But I mean, me and Johnny sat right here. I installed a 0.26, which is and no, don't do what I do.
This was for science.
Yeah, it was for science.
And these guys
purposes.
are professionals.
Yeah, a 0.26, 0.28 is where I like to live on a stack mech. And I put one in there and I gave it a rip, and it wasn't good. It just was not good. And I handed it to Johnny and he was like, yo, that is fucking disgusting.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's just way too much. It's not enough airflow. But there again, if you don't want, I mean, if you want to run it on series and that's a no-go, then don't fucking buy it.
Yeah.
It's just, I really don't care. It wasn't, if I was going to make the Ohana capable of doing a low series build like that, like something that I'm used to, I would have to compromise everything else about the RDA.
Yeah.
And that's not something I was willing to do.
Yeah.
Because you can get a stellar vape on a single battery, or you can put it on, you can put a larger core build in there, a 24 gauge cores, aliens or whatever, and put it on a regulated device and run it up to fucking 9,000 if you want to.
Now that I'm thinking about it more, the only series build that I think I would use personally, because I use pre-builds, I'm used to using those. The only series build that I think would actually work in this, but I feel like you would have to use the 25 millimeter cap on there, would be the J-Boy series coils, because they're smaller series coils. They're not like some of the big ones where it's like a 8 or 9 wrap.
I kind of like the idea that Heavy was saying though about with the single coil, because not only will you be able to duplicate like that almost like dual coil type of vape, but you're going to be able to get a little bit more air to kind of come around that coil, because it's not going to take quite as much space up in that deck as a dual coil would. So you might be able to get a little bit more air to move around it, and it may not get quite as hot, but it's still going to get hot.
How about this? Think about getting a series style vape without having to build for series. That's how I feel this is right now.
Yeah, that's exactly
what
it is.
Series style vape without having to build series.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, we wanted to stay true to what we enjoy. Now, Heavy does enjoy series from time to time. Most of his, I'm speaking for him now, but most of what he runs is a single tube battery style vape, and every once in a while he'll run a series. But me, I don't like series. I'll just tell you flat out. I do it every now and again just to like pique my curiosity, but I don't like it. And I go right back to a single battery build.
Oh, shit.
There's not many people like Poon Sauce that vape stacks every single day.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. But why would I want to put my name and heart into something that I don't enjoy? You see, so that's kind of why
I hate stack.
I hope you drop all of those.
I hate it.
I've ran my Dreamer in triple stack before. That was fun.
Dude, that was crazy.
Hey, Poon Sauce, not to have a dick measuring contest, but have you tried this?
That the new Stormbreaker?
The rule breaker.
No, that's the rule breaker.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's the series one, right?
That's right up your alley.
Triple series.
Dude,
Oh God,
that's up Dan's
I
alley too, bro.
I had the Plastique.
damn,
That's insane.
it's a monster.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I love it. I don't know if there's something off a series build that just it touches every avenue that I want. I don't know what.
I get it, dude. I've got fucking 20 of them.
It's like all your emo music, but in your mouth.
And
That's
just
what
a
it
little
is.
recommendation for you guys: if you do want to run a single coil, me personally, I prefer it with dual 3 millimeter or 2.5 millimeter coils. But if you do a single, if you wrap your own wire, do like a 4 millimeter coil, because it kind of gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds. It increases the size, obviously, of the coil, so more of the airflow is hitting it.
What about that kind of single?
Yeah,
Dude.
Jesus. Yeah, not quite that big.
The 4 millimeter bit fits. You could probably fit 2 4 millimeter bits in there, and it's still a little bit more room. I think this is.
Yeah, because I put a single coil in mine, but I did like a 3.5, and I noticed that the flavor wasn't quite as good as it was when I had like the
Yeah.
dual coil build in there, and like
the air's just
exactly. So
Yeah.
I feel like if I were to
Around.
put something like you said, like more like around a 4 millimeter, kind of take up a little bit more of that space, have more in that
Yep.
airflow hitting that coil, definitely be a good
Well,
vape for
But
sure.
then again, if you're buying it to run a single coil, it's not meant for single coil. There's 9,000
Get a
other
barrage
single coils
instead.
out there that are made specifically
Yeah.
for that style. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my main thing is like, you know, can you run a single in it? Sure, why not? But it wasn't designed for that, right?
Yeah.
Can you enter a Formula One race in a Hyundai Elantra? Sure. Are you going to fucking win?
Probably not.
a chance.
Yeah.
You know, you're not even going to make it halfway through the course. But it's this RDA to me, and I'm speaking for Johnny here, to us was purpose built for dual coils with the flavor of a single coil.
Yes, and you nailed it.
But
Yeah,
I think we did.
you really don't get many people trying to do that. That's the thing. So what you guys did was something you guys may not have tried to reinvent the wheel because I knew that wasn't your guys' intention, but you did something that a lot of people were afraid to do.
Well, we made a lawnmower to cut grass with.
Yeah.
We didn't make a lawnmower to, give out hand jobs behind the Circle K.
Where's that
Yeah,
lawnmower?
shit.
Yeah, that sounds like a
Jeez.
magical experience.
Let me get my checkbook.
dude, that would certainly make me want to mow the lawn.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't
Did
even
you guys
have
hear
a
about the
lawn.
lawnmower?
Yeah, it's
You
like
ever-
I bought this lawnmower to get me laid.
I'm
You guys
a
hear about the
I don't even have
lawnmower
one.
down the road?
buys a
handing
lawnmower to
out
get
old
laid?
fashions? $5.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I love the little thing, man. I love Johnny to death, and like I could not think of a better thing to hang my hat on if this whole fucking industry goes to shit.
I'm gonna say, man, you guys put out a solid product. Like you guys seen my review and my thoughts on it. I've been enjoying it. I'm continuing to vape on it. You know, it still shows up in the rotation on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? I'm really enjoying it right now with this 6-and-out in it by Bogan's Brews. It's just like that black currant and that lychee are just popping in this thing, dude.
I'll tell you this though, we couldn't have picked a better time to release a product.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Best flavor on the market when you can't vape anything but tobacco.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, tobaccos go great in the Ohana.
They go fantastic.
Get that
You can
real
really taste that
full
dirt and that
flavor of
raisin
camel
flavor.
dick and fucking Marlboro Light.
Yeah, dude.
Camel
So
dick.
where can people pick up the Ohana, fellas?
The only place you can pick it up, rangervapes.com. And that is one man that I'm sure is happy about the Ohana.
And let me tell you guys,
He's the only one selling them.
He ships quick as shit too, guys. If
He
you
does.
do order from him, Ranger's a good dude.
He's an American hero.
Yeah,
Support him and support these guys by going to rangervapes.com and picking up a Ohana or something.
Well, there's another website for international people. I know there's been a lot of people asking, when are they going to be in the UK? When are they going to be in Ireland? When are they going to be in Germany and stuff like that? You can pick them up from what's the name of that fucking website? God damn it! Of course, I would start saying something and not know-
Alibaba?
No, they haven't made it there yet.
That's where you get your empty jewel pods, bro.
Yeah.
And they haven't been cloned yet, so that must mean they suck.
That's how you know you've made it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can get them. Oh, that maybe they have been cloned. You can get them at 3F.
What is it called? The Honolulu or something?
3
The oh ha ha ha.
The Ohaha. Ohaha squared.
Yeah.
Good one, Dan.
Dude,
Good one.
That's why we chose
Dan.
XL.
Ohaha.
that's why we chose a name that didn't have the letter R in it.
Oh.
Yeah, because Chinese have difficulty with R.
Oh well, thanks.
Rah,
for
rah, rah,
pointing
rah,
that
rah,
out.
rah, 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 rah.
Thank you for that explanation, Swagons.
You're welcome.
Oh man. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to pick, I would highly suggest picking it up. Just for me personally, I've been thoroughly enjoying the vape off of it. The flavor's absolutely on point, super smooth airflow as well, and
Easy
it's
to
just a
build.
solid. It's super easy to build. They literally give you the damn coil tool to cut your legs to the length.
Yeah.
There's literally no guesswork, guys. You just Take your coil out, drop it in the jig, cut it, drop it in, tighten your screws down, pull them in. That's it. Wick it up. Simple as that. So, dude, I'm stoked that you guys came on the show and, you know, talked to us about it and let us get a little bit of the, you know, behind the scenes of what came into, you know, the process of putting this thing out on the market. And, dude, like
Thanks
I said,
for having us, brother.
dude, absolutely, man. You guys already know. You guys can catch these guys on Wednesday over there on Heavy's channel. You can catch Swags over there as well. You know, they got the threesome going on over there. It's a great show. A lot of great fucking stuff going on over there. If you want to get some hashtag gongs in, that's one of my favorite parts of this show is just seeing you guys getting nicked out.
Getting nicked out.
Dude. So, yeah, definitely go check them out there. Of course, you know, you guys can catch us here every Monday. You know, as always, do want to shout out our sponsors again real quick before we end the show, guys. We do want to shout out OPMH Project. You guys already know if you guys want to check out the Fountain, Watson, or the Real Dill Custard. I'm definitely vouching for the Fountain and Real Dill Custard lines, guys. Absolutely solid. I've been loving them. You know, you guys already know. This is like my 17th or 18th bottle of Blast Off, I think, now. And there's no sign of me slowing down on this stuff, guys.
James,
Delicious.
side note, timeout.
What's up?
I've tried a freshly mixed bottle of Blast Off. It's life changing. You
Is
might
it?
need to try it before it's steep. I'm telling you, it's less throaty. It's awesome.
We'll talk.
Okay.
But yeah, so definitely check those guys out, guys. And of course, huge shout out to Independent Vapor Company, guys. You know, you gotta keep Dan on his feet, so you definitely got to go support them over there, guys.
Keep food in my kid's mouth,
yeah,
please.
You can support them
Much
by going
appreciated.
into the shop yourselves over there in Roseville, Michigan. If you guys are in the area, go check them out. Go show them some love. And you can also support them online, guys. They do online sales as well, so if you want to grab up some liquid and stuff like that, you can go check them out at independentvaporcompany.com. And then with all that being said, Corey, is there anything coming up on your channel that you want to talk about? Let the people know what's going on.
We got another episode of What's in the News with me and Sean coming Wednesday. We're hopefully going to be talking about this hearing that's going to be happening with Boston tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see
So
what
we're going to
happens.
be talking about that, see what happens. We're probably not going to see any results, but we're going to talk about what went down and pretty much what our thoughts on it are. And hopefully Saturday on the next episode of What's Your Story, there might be a little witches gathering. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to stay with that.
Halloween theme. I like it.
I like it.
There's going to be a gathering of some sorts, I hope. So
definitely go check that out. Poon Sauce McNasty channel. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. All that good stuff. Like I said, you can catch all the rest of these guys. You know, Swaggins, Heavy, and Johnny Drips over there on Wednesday. You know, a little bit after Corey's show. I think they you guys are like
Guests
kinda,
on other sides of each other.
We touch
Yeah.
butts.
Yeah,
We
you
touch
guys
butts.
touch, but so you can watch Corey and then slide right into Never Heard of Them.
Touch and
So
tip.
You
definitely
just
go check them
hashtag
out.
bubble fart your way all
Yeah.
over.
Absolutely.
Hashtag
absolutely.
docking. Hashtag docking.
Docking.
And we can't leave you guys without our, you know, it's our ending segment. We do it every week, and we can't leave you guys without doing it this week. So, Dan, are you ready, bro? Are you ready?
You know it.
It's time for Dan's dad joke of the week.
Oh, shit.
All right. Why is Peter Pan always flying? He never lands.
Oh.
Get
Oh,
man.
I got one more. Can I get a redemption?
Oh, yeah.
I got one more.
All right, you got a two.
All right. Yeah, I got a twofer. What's a ninja's favorite type of shoes?
What?
Sneakers.
Oh, my God.
Oh shit! I thought it was going to be way harder to get that one.
Because they're so sneaky.
Oh,
Because they're ninjas.
Why are they called
Hey.
sneakers? That's a question for another time.
that is a question for another day.
I want to take a minute.
of
If no one
ninjas-
saw the green room on Friday, I had a couple people coming to the shop last week. One was wearing an M-Turk hoodie. His one was wearing a Culture Couture shirt.
Cloud Couture.
Cloud Couture.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I got some real vapors in the house. You know, someone's not going to buy like a bottle of juice and a coil. So Scott and Rachel came in. They were fucking awesome. They knew about all of us in the community come to check the shop out. So shout outs to them. They were
Cool.
fucking awesome. And I hope to see them again very soon.
Absolutely. What were you going to say there,
Cheers.
Heavy?
So, speaking of ninjas, do you know what Bruce Lee's favorite drink is?
What's that?
What?
What?
I got two kids, man. I got them.
Oh,
kids.
that was a good one. That was
Dad
good.
jokes
That
for
one
sure.
was a good one. So, of
Authentic.
course, guys, thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us here. You know, we do this every Monday right here on the channel. Same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, you guys can catch us all on our various social media accounts. You can catch Corey on his channel on Wednesday. Catch me on Friday for an episode of The Green Room. Like I said, you can catch all the rest of these guys on Wednesday over there. I never heard of him. And you can catch Dan over there at IVC in Roseville, Michigan. With all that being said, guys, we're going to end it how we always do, sending out all those positive vibes, crisp by fives, and let's just vape on, y'all.